So are you aware that California is in one of its worst droughts? Yeah. And how much water do you think agriculture wastes each year, maybe? Like what percentage of water? 50? Would you be surprised if it's up to 70%? No, you're not surprised at all. Okay. So have you had to make any changes to compensate for the drought, more or less?
I've tried to get my dad to stop sprinkling our lawn.
Okay, that's good.
I've taken shorter showers.
And how about agriculture-wise? Has the drought impacted you based on like your buying purchases? Like have foods become more expensive or less available?
I don't see that effect.
Alright. Well, I think that's just 2 or 3 questions we wanted to ask. So California is in one of its worst droughts at the moment. Like, what are your thoughts on the drought? Are you concerned? Have you been trying to do things to limit your water use?
I'm definitely more concerned than I was before I came up here because I'm from Southern California, and so, I don't know, they're not as concerned with the environment down there as Northern Californians are, so even just making the drive from there up here to go to school, like you pass through farmlands and it's just kind of a wake-up call when they're literally decibels, and like, I should do something else to help these poor people. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of just like the stupid things that you're always told to do as a kid, like turn off the water when you're brushing your teeth, or like don't stand there with the water running when you do the dishes that you don't need, just that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So currently, like, I think I read the statistic that like a single almond takes about a pound of water. Or I think a lot of California farmers aren't growing any avocados anymore just because they require so much water. Has the drought impacted your purchases on any fruits or vegetables or anything really? Maybe availability?
I definitely, I'm a first year here, so I buy most of my stuff through the school. So it's basically whatever is available through the school, but at home, when I'm not here, yeah, you definitely see a price increase on things like avocados or more water needing things. And I'm an outdoor, I'm a camp counselor back at home, so I watched our drought tolerant plants die. So when our drought tolerant plants are dying, you're gonna have an effect on everything else. So yeah.
California is in one of its worst droughts that it's been in for a long time. How do you think that drought is affecting our crops and agriculture?
Isn't it that long-term crops and things like orchards and stuff are going to be taking priority over like seasonal crops? So like things that we normally have like tomatoes and things like that, it's going to hurt them a lot more than things that we want to keep alive for longer term.
Yeah, it's definitely more seasonal local food are definitely going to be more emphasized as opposed to foods that we have year round. So far, has the drought affected you personally, like your purchasing or like availability of foods or prices or anything like that?
No, it hasn't. I mean, obviously I'm just being conscious about it and things, but as far as availability and price, I haven't really seen an effect of it yet.
Yeah. What was the first time you started getting like really concerned and you heard about the drought?
Probably about 3 years ago. So I'm from Northern California. One of my teachers in high school was actually the head of our local water district, so I went to a lot of drought meetings and things like that. So like familiar with like the Bay Delta Conservation Project, things like that. So like I've been pretty aware of it for quite some time.
So what are your thoughts on the drought that we have here in California?
I feel like there's no easy solution, and that you're constantly hearing like we're in a drought, but I still see like our lawns are completely green. We're still using water, I feel like, very similarly to how we have in the past. So I feel like there's a lot of changes that we still need.
So you think there needs to be a lot more like apparent change, really? I mean, I feel like a lot of people are always talking about it. Like, I think agriculture wastes maybe like 70% of water.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard like to know as an individual, like if you take shorter showers, what difference that's really going to make in the big picture. And I think when you can put it on a larger agricultural scale or corporations changing theirs, that's going to have bigger effects and differences like in our water use than just like individuals. That's how I see it. Like I still think that we should obviously make changes, but I think that there'll be bigger changes if, in agriculture.
If we get it in like a corporate level or maybe like pass more laws where it's a requirement to do these things. Okay. have you noticed any changes in food availability or food price based off the drought?
I have not at all.
Not really, yeah. So probably still using about the same amount of water and okay. Well, those are it.
You're
so.
aware that California is in its current drought. What are your thoughts or concerns for it?
I don't know. I guess definitely need to make some changes, especially on campus. People need to change their habits for sure. Agriculture probably also needs to get some big reform.
Yeah. Like looking around, as I just said, like the lawns here are still green. Like I haven't really seen much change. I mean, maybe there is in a corporate level, but do you think we need to go about enforcing the drought a little differently, maybe a little more aggressively?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a few lawns getting converted to like bark, like natural plants, or it's not natural.
Like drought resistant?
Yeah, like, whatever it's called, local. Yeah, so, but there could definitely always be more.
Yeah. And has the drought affected you personally, or have you still not really seen any changes?
Well, my hometown is actually from where Berkeley gets its water from, like the watershed is where I grew up.
Okay.
So a lot of my friends they're getting fined if they're not like having their water bills.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's insane, and we don't have to do anything, like we don't get any fines, but they are getting like crazy restrictions. I think that's insane.
No, I definitely get you. Cool.
Their water,
Well,
I don't know.
thank you.
All right, so when was the first time you really found out about California's drought? Are you really concerned with it?
Well, I've lived in California for most of my life, so it's always been one of those things that keeps reoccurring and popping up. But honestly, I don't really take it to heart because I have been around California for so long that it's kind of like one of those things where I'm like, okay, yeah, we hear about it, but we always make it through.
Yeah.
So I don't have a huge concern as opposed to someone who would be moving to California and be like, oh, there's a drought again, or whatever. So.
Definitely. So you more or less told us your thoughts on the current drought.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like looking around, there's green grass everywhere, it really doesn't look like we're in a drought? Do you think that we need maybe more stricter laws, maybe we need to enforce a little better, or do you think it's something that'll just play out after time?
Well, I definitely think that we want to focus on prevention. We don't want to wait till it gets really bad. I'm a public health major, so we focus on prevention. And you want to prevent the fire before
it happens, yeah.
So even though we can see that it is green, that there's a whole lot of things behind the scenes that can take that.
And what do you think should be done? Do you have any suggestions or things that you would like to?
I would actually have to do more research about that, but I would be fascinated to learn about what laws could really help with that, as far as like how much. I'm sure there's regulations on a lot of water usage and everything like that already. But yeah, I'm sure that there's way more things that can be done.
Yeah. California's in one of its worst droughts. Do you have any concerns about? Are you concerned about it, or what are your thoughts on the whole drought?
I feel like I'm concerned with it, but sometimes it's pretty hard to actually do stuff about it because, as an issue, I'm definitely concerned with it. But when, I'm asked to do something for it,
it's a lot harder
care about it. It's a lot harder to implement actually things. Sometimes I try to, just turn the
water off a little,
if necessary, and try to use stop using water if it's not necessary. But if put the issue on a larger scale, it's pretty hard to implement every day, and it's pretty hard to get everybody to implement.
So do you think more or less more laws need to be made, or enforcing water use needs to be a stricter?
Definitely, I think if there could be a law that's passed, it's definitely more enforcing than just shouting a slogan where we have to.
Or just letting everyone know that we're in a drought, or
make it force everyone to do it, it's better.
And has the drought affected you at all personally, or your purchases? Have you noticed a trend, or any produce a little higher?
Personally, probably no, but I definitely know that there are a lot of people, probably not in America, probably in Africa, that's definitely been affected by it. The world's connected, so if we are wasting water here, then
it could be used somewhere else. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.